Well, hello and welcome to Business 360. I'm Kamath, and here are the headlines that we're tracking this evening. Sensex and Nifty end at their highest level in a month thanks to a late rally. Rupee continues to weaken against the dollar, ending at record closing lows. RBI to review the incremental cash reserve ratio tomorrow. China's exports contract for the fourth month in a row, contracting 9% in August. Imports drop over 7%, shrinking for the 8th month running.
They can continue to take customers away from the banks, and if you're not, we don't react or are not proactive about it.
AxisBank CEO Amitabh Chaudhry says banks have to be agile and nimble with digitech innovation if they are to keep their competitive edge. Adds that strict fintech regulations will serve as a protective moat only for a short period. That's a CNBC-TV18 exclusive.
I always believe in profitable growth. There is no growth without profitability because it will be short-lived.
Banking veteran KV Kamath says fintechs are in a sweet spot but must concentrate on profitability for sustained growth. Calls on companies to partner with global players in bringing disruptive innovation. Adds that the opportunity to scale is enormous.
No, never. I don't have that thick skin. You require thick skin to be a politician.
Deepak Parekh rules out politics as the next chapter in his career, but also adds that he would consider being an advisor. Says stepping down as HDFC chairman was the most difficult decision of his career and reiterates his commitment to nurturing HDFC Bank. The founder of Cred, Kunal Shah, says the company is focusing on profitability and cash burn rate is declining. Cred is keen on an IPO, but no timeline yet. Also wants Cred to be a lifestyle company and not just a fintech company. Delhi gears up for the G20 summit. US President Joe Biden is scheduled to land tomorrow evening. Regulations for crypto, new focus areas for multilateral development, banks' common framework to tackle debt and climate change likely to top the agenda. Fresh round of FTA talks between India and United Kingdom. Prime Minister Modi and Rishi Sunak likely to hold bilateral talks on the sidelines of the G20 meeting. The free trade agreement has been in the works since 2021. And Shah Rukh Khan's Jawan sees a bumper opening at the box office. Looks set to register a historic first-day collection for Bollywood. Massive celebrations by SRK fans outside theatres. Well, let's begin with the day's market action. A last-hour surge held the Lal Street end at over one-month highs. Nifty and Sensex gained over 0.5%. Financials led the recovery, with Nifty Bank Index soaring 1%. Select IT stocks also batted for the bulls. Mid-caps also fared better than the blue chips. Meanwhile, Rupee continued to weaken against the dollar, ending at a record closing low. The RBI has promised to review tomorrow its decision to impose incremental cash reserve ratio of 10% on deposits garnered by banks between May of 19th and July 28th. Half of the respondents to a CNBC-TV18 poll expect the RBI to reduce the incremental CRR to 5%. In some global action now, China reported another monthly decline of trade. Shrinking demand for Chinese goods saw exports contracting by close to 9% in the month of August. This was the fourth consecutive month of decline. China's imports also took a hit for the 8th consecutive month. And speaking of exports, China has asked fertilizer producers to suspend urea exports after seeing a rise in domestic prices. Well, here is a CNBC-TV18 exclusive. AxisBank CEO Amitabh Chaudhry has warned that fintech companies can lure customers away from banks. Speaking to my colleague Ritu Singh on the sidelines of the global fintech fest, the Axis Bank chief added that banks must react and innovate to attract more customers themselves.
Regulations can act as a moat only for a short period of time. End of the day, if fintechs come with the right innovation, the right product, the right customer journey, I think they can continue to take customers away from the banks. And if you're not, we don't react or are not proactive about it. So they have to put compliance with regulations, fair and center of how they go about building their business models. And I think that realization has dawned very quickly, and a lot of fintechs are repivoting their model. From a bank's perspective, the reaction to whatever is happening is, I would say, twofold. One is you first continue to innovate yourself and ensure that you continue to attract customers directly.
Yeah.
And second is that you work in partnership with all these fintechs because they are attracting a customers of a certain kind who are using a certain service. In many cases, a bank can come in and supplement and complement what those platforms are doing. Rather than taking the customers away, they could take the juicier parts of the commercials away.
Well, staying with the Global Fintech Fest, there is no growth without profit. That's KV Kamath's message for fintechs at the Global Fintech Fest. Speaking to CNBC-TV18, the chairman of the National Bank for Financing Infrastructure and Development said that it's the right time for companies to consider partnership with global players. Kamath added that fintech companies should not look at valuation before profitability.
The global opportunity and the global aspiration, you believe that that is going to be a viable option for Indian fintech founders to consider focusing on at this point in time? Or do you believe that that is something that maybe a few years down the line, once they consolidate their position here in India, is when they should start looking out?
If we were having this chat, say, a year and a half, 2 years back, when I'd really not started looking at what is available, and I knew things were happening, and today, when I know that things are available, I would say the time is now. What the startups probably need to really look at is how do you partner with the global players who need you, and how do you provide that value add to that marketplace while you are doing it for India in any case. Yeah, I think, again, I say that you have built a great business. I endorse that platform value is enormous. You now need to look at how to make that platform profitable and then scale it with profitability as a key core component of what you want to do. And value will emerge. But if you reverse it and look at value first or valuation first, then you will have a problem. So you have created value in your business, the valuation has to follow.
You're a believer. You're a believer in the story, but are you a believer in the profitable growth of this story?
I always believe in profitable growth. There is no growth without profitability because it will be short-lived.
If you were to be working in a bank today, would you be nervous?
Oh.
Would you be optimistic or feel confident? Or would you want to do something completely different outside of banking?
If I could not change the mindset of my people, I would be a nervous wreck because there would be no future. So starting with myself, my entire team has to be aligned that change is imperative. I cannot go about saying that, oh, this app of mine, it'll take 18 months for me to redo. And people sitting here will say that I can do it in probably 18 days. So that's the sort of difference we are seeing. So I would be trembling.
Well, from one banking veteran to another, Deepak Parekh has reiterated his commitment to nurturing HDFC Bank post-retiring from chairman's post. He said, and I quote, "You learn, you earn, and then you have to return." End of quote. Recounting his early days at HDFC, Parekh said that stepping down as the chairman was the most difficult decision of his career. He also ruled out politics as the next chapter in his career, but added that he won't mind being an advisor.
I don't have that thick skin. You require thick skin to be a politician. If your expertise is one area, you can't become a farmer if your expertise is in financial services. And it's too late in age to learn something different. Advisory roles is possible, but joining politics, I've never thought of it. The most difficult decision I had to take was when I was 65 years old. I was executive chairman, and I thought that my board wanted me to continue. I thought if I continue, it would come in the way of the next lot of people. So I decided, after a lot of mind and much against my family's wishes, that it's not fair of me to continue. And I retired in my 65th year became non-executive chairman of HDFC.
Well, in more voices from the Fintech Fest, Cred founder Kunal Shah said that his company is focusing on profitability and cash burn rate is declining. He added that Cred is keen on an IPO, but there's no timeline as of yet. He also wants Cred to be a lifestyle company and not just a fintech company.
Our focus was to focus on customers who currently have good credit scores and a credit card. That's the focus customer we have. And today we have, I would say, 35 to 37% of the market share. We want to probably get to 50-55% market. We have significantly reduced our marketing spends because the brand is already kind of known.
Well, the government has notified amendments to the valuation methodology to calculate GST on online gaming and casinos. According to the notification, players are now required to pay GST on the total amount paid or deposited initially. Any amount refunded will not be deductible from the value of supply. The notification further clarified that winnings used in a further event without withdrawal will not be considered a deposit amount. The Finance Ministry has said that the date for implementation of the norms will be notified later. Moving on, Tata Consultancy Services has bagged a $1 billion deal from Jaguar Land Rover to ramp up its digital infrastructure, and that's over the next 5 years. TCS will provide the Tata-owned British auto major a slew of services, including app development, cloud migration, and cybersecurity. Shares of Larsen & Toubro surged 4% following news that the engineering major is close to bagging a $3 billion deal from Saudi Aramco. Sources say that L&T has been tasked with developing a gas processing plant and main processing unit for Aramco's Jafra unconventional gas development project. Online gaming platform Nazara Tech has received board approval to raise more than 400 crore rupees from SBI Mutual Fund via issuance of equity shares. The company will issue more than 57 lakh shares to SBI MF at 714 rupees per share. The shares will be used on a preferential basis. Well, the stage is set for the G20 summit in New Delhi, the first under India's presidency. Leaders from the world's most powerful nations will be flying down to Delhi for the two-day summit over the weekend. These nations represent around 85% of the world's GDP. The summit will be taking place at the state-of-the-art Bharat Mandapam Convention Center. From new murals, statues to fountains and flower pots, Delhi has undergone a major transformation. Several traffic restrictions will be in place to enable movement of VVIPs during this summit. All the premier hotels in the city have been booked for the weekend. Well, sources have told CNBC-TV18 that India expects the group nations to have a consensus on common cryptocurrency norms. Sources have also said that India has ensured that global policies are in place for the summit on climate transition. Sapna Das is joining us now for more on that. Sapna, thank you for joining us. Give us a sense of what your sources are telling you and what the communique may look like.
Well, first of all, let me clarify that it may be, difficult or challenging to have a communique in place because there could be lack of consensus, mainly because of the Russia-Ukraine war. So that needs to be kept in mind. I think this has just been raised a lot by the foreign press that, no communique, no communique. But I think everybody, all the stakeholders should realize that there is a war going on in one part of the country, which is one part of the world, which is having a major global implication, and hence that may not happen. But what will happen, a host of issues that India presidency has played a leading role on all of them, right from cryptocurrency issue to the multilateral development banks, their role in future financial inclusion plan, debt vulnerability of weaker nations, and climate action. On all of this, India has played a very important role. We just run you through a couple of points over here. So basically on the crypto assets, the Indian presidency's call is very clear that India would desire a common platform as far as regulation of crypto assets is concerned. Now, there is already a synthesis paper which has been brought out by IMF and FSB. This is going to be taken forward in the G20 summit. And the leaders of G20 have to say yes to the building blocks which are already in place as far as crypto assets are concerned. So this is going to be a major, agenda going forward. And India presidency has played a major role. It's a major achievement for India to actually bring it into the G20 agenda itself. That's one. Second, also in terms of the multilateral development banks and the road forward, probably what the India presidency wants is a more nimble-footed role for these banks. They need to be more 21st century rather than 20th century. And a couple of aspects over here that need to be highlighted. For instance, a review of the capital framework capital adequacy framework for these banks could actually yield a $200 billion worth of lending lifeline over the next 10 odd years. So things like that. Also, newer issues, newer topics have to be added in terms of their terms of reference. Like, for example, digital public infrastructure and climate action. On both fronts, India has been fairly active. So that's second. Third, in terms of the global debt vulnerabilities. Now, here we are given to understand that China is not really cooperating in the sense that there's a pushback from China in terms of the resilient clause that is there as part of the debt restructuring. So that needs to be kept in mind. But the packages for 3+1, that is Ethiopia, Zambia, and one more country is already in place, almost finalized. Sri Lanka is outside the common framework, but India here wants that to be kind of time-bound and, more effective. Last but not the least, also in terms of the climate action, there were certain issues raised by a block of countries because there's a pushback from these countries on reduction of fossil fuels. That has also been taken on board by India. Some resolution has come through. Last but not the least, a big achievement on the part of the India presidency is the financial action plan for financial inclusion. That's going to be for the next 2 years, starting FY24 to FY26.
Right, Sapna, thanks a lot for that detailed insight as to what we can expect. Now, staying with G20, both the United Kingdom and India are expected to use the summit as an opportunity to further free trade agreement talks. Prime Minister Narendra Modi and UK Prime Minister Rishi Sunak are also expected to hold bilaterals on the sidelines of the summit. CNBC-TV18 Sanjay Suri joins us from London. Sanjay, give us a sense of what you're picking up. What can we expect?
The G20 is coming up, and together with that, hardly coincidentally, talks to advance the free trade agreement between India and Britain. These have been underway for some time, and there is now greater energy in taking these forward quite clearly. And we know that Prime Minister Sunak will be in India for the G20 talks, and G20 is the great multilateral platform for promoting trade and talks around trade and the economy. But there will be a move now in parallel to promote trade and economic improvement on both sides between Britain and India together with the G20 summit. The G20 coincides with the 13th round of talks under the FTA, and these clearly have been speeded up in time for the G20. Consider that the 12th round of the FTA talks concluded only last week, and the 13th got underway on Monday this week, very rapidly, quite unprecedented, this kind of speed. The FTA is certain to come up also in the bilateral between the two prime ministers of India and Britain, and they could well seek to nudge these talks past some of the hurdles and obstacles that have come up, as they inevitably would. British Trade Secretary Kemi Badenoch is also expected at the summit, and Indian Trade Minister Piyush Goyal will inevitably be there at the heart of the proceedings. Now, this push towards taking the talks past obstacles is clearly getting a strong push at the very highest level, though Sunak has cautioned on the eve of his visit that there is still some way to go.
Right, Sanjay, thanks a lot for that. Now, Prime Minister Narendra Modi, meanwhile, attended the ASEAN-India summit in Jakarta. Speaking at the meeting, Prime Minister Modi called ASEAN nations the central pillar to India's Act East policy. He also conveyed India's support to the group's outlook on the Indo-Pacific region. The Prime Minister also announced an establishment of the ASEAN-India Fund for Digital Future to boost financial connectivity.
हमारी हिस्ट्री और ज्योग्राफी भारत और आसियान को जोड़ते हैं, साथ ही साझा वैल्यूज, क्षेत्रीय एकता, शांति, समृद्धि और मल्टीपोलर वर्ल्ड में साझा विश्वास भी हमें आपस में जोड़ता है। आसियान भारत की एक्ट ईस्ट पॉलिसी का केंद्रीय स्तंभ है।
Well, with that, it's time now to slip into a very short break. But coming up next, Shah Rukh Khan's Jawan sees a bumper opening at the box office, looks set to register a historic first-day collection for Bollywood. Details when we come back. Welcome back. Now, the delay in advent of monsoon and deficient rainfall has impacted the production of pulses in several states. And this, in turn, has pushed prices higher. Santya Goda now joins us with a pulse check on the prices of pulses. Santya, take it away.
After tomatoes, onions and other fruits and vegetables, now pulses are pinching the consumers. CNBC-TV18 has been reporting how multiple weather factors affected the sowing area under pulses this year. Delayed monsoon and deficient rainfall led to an 8.5% drop in sowing area under pulses as compared to the last year. The uneven rainfall is also expected to affect the yield. States like Madhya Pradesh, Karnataka, Maharashtra, Uttar Pradesh, Odisha, Karnataka, Gujarat and Tamil Nadu reported a drop in the sowing area under various pulses. All these factors have started reflecting on the prices. On 6th of September, the retail price of tur dal was 142 rupees per kg, around 4% more expensive than last month and around 28% more expensive than last year. Gram dal price is 79 rupees per kg, over 7% more than last month and around 7% more than last year. Urad dal price is 116 rupees per kg, around 2% more than last month and over 6% more than last year. Moong dal price is 112 rupees per kg, around 2% more than last month and over 8% more than last year. Masoor dal price is 93 rupees per kg, over 2% more than last month but 5% less than last year. The government has already started taking preventative measures to keep the prices in check and ensure ample availability for domestic consumption. The government has made stock disclosure of masoor mandatory to keep prices in check. It was expected that September rainfall would bring some relief by reviving kharif pulses crops, but as per the IMD forecast, there is up to 40% chance that key pulse producing states can witness a deficient rainfall in September too, further affecting the already increasing pulse prices.
Well, Aditya L1, India's first mission to study the sun, has taken images of itself as well as the moon and earth. Aditya L1 ISRO has released the video showing an image of one hemisphere of Earth illuminated by sunlight. The video also shows the distant moon from the highly elliptical orbit around the Earth where it is currently present. Well, Shah Rukh Khan's starrer Jawan saw a bumper opening at the box office. Trends indicate that the movie is set to register Bollywood's biggest opening. It was a day of celebration for SRK fans as they queued up outside theatres. Mumbai's Gaiety Theatre scheduled a 6 a.m. show for the audience. We bring you all the action from Mumbai and Chennai in this special report.
The excitement here at Gaiety Galaxy, considering that Jawan, the movie of Shah Rukh Khan, has seen a first in the last 51 years, a 6 a.m. release, which show you what it looks like here at Gaiety Galaxy. There are huge posters of Shah Rukh Khan that have been put up. In fact, at 5:45, when the first 6 a.m. show was to begin, there were people who gathered. In fact, this entire lane was filled. Fans who gathered also made a human pyramid. They celebrated the release of Jawan.
This movie is going to be like mind-blowing. Shah Rukh Khan is best avatar.
All movies of Adli have been very good, so I expect this to be very good. Yeah, and Aniruddha Chandra is God, bro. All his music is too good.
There's stars, there's music outside Mohini Theatre in Chennai. You can see here fans of Shah Rukh Khan gathered here to watch the first day, first show. These are some of the scenes that we've been seeing since 8 a.m. outside every screen in Chennai. You can see huge cutouts, banners, and Milk Abhishekam performed on banners. People holding placards of Jawan, some of them wearing t-shirts with the word Jawan printed on them.
Well, Jawan fever there, at least in Mumbai and Chennai. But with that, it's a wrap on this edition of Business 360. Thanks so much for watching. Stay tuned to CNBC TV18. The news and updates continue right here on the other side.